Hi everyone, this is Cheryl and welcome to my sewing room. I'm going to demonstrate how to make this pretty placemat. I used Christmas fabric, but you can use any fabric of your choice. I put red fringe on the outer edges. It has an optional pocket, and I'll tell you where you can get instructions on how to make a fabric napkin. The finished size of each placemat is 13 inches by 18 inches. Whether you're making 4 or 6 placemats, for the front you'll need 1 1/3 yard, the back 1 1/3 yard. Also heavy iron on interfacing 20-inch wide, so if you're buying it off of the bolt, it only comes 20 inches wide, and you'll need 2 1/4 yards. The trim is optional. You'll need 1 3/4 yards per placemat. Here's how you're going to lay your fabric out. Fold your fabric with the selvage edges together, and here's your folded line up here. Cut your selvage edges off. Then line this up on your cutting mat. Straighten out this edge first. Go over 18.5 inches and cut, and then go over 18.5 inches and cut. Then from the where you cut down here up 13.5 inches, cut across. For 6 placemats, unfold these 2 pieces and cut them 13.5 by 18.5. The pocket is optional. This is what holds the napkin there. If you're going to do the pocket, you'll need 2 squares, 5.5 inches square. Bring the 2 squares together for the pocket, front sides together, and stitch on just 2 sides, 1/4 inch. When you get 1/4 inch down from this side, leave your needle down, lift up the presser foot, turn your fabric, and stitch a 1/4 inch seam down that way. Then you're going to trim the excess fabric off at this corner only, just right there. So I trim a little off going that way, and then a little bit off of the side. I'm going to turn this, and then a little bit off this side. Then turn it front side out. Poke this corner out, and then press this flat after you've poked that corner out. I'm going to be placing my pocket on the right hand side of the placemat. So therefore, if you're going to stick it on the right hand side, then you want to take this side here and have it facing towards the right side. Put your fringe across here, and I just stitched it right on the edge there. I had trouble stitching this on with my regular presser foot, so I used this zipper foot, and it just went right up over this fringe and was real easy to put it on. So look through your presser feet, see which one you have that will go over this particular fringe. Here is my fabric for the front, so put it front side down to where you're now looking at the back of the fabric. Take your heavy iron-on interfacing and place the glue side down on top of that. The glue side is very shiny, so that's the side you want to put facing down. And then, of course, the matted side is face up. I would pin all these edges and then do a machine basting stitch around all 4 sides. Place the pocket in the lower right hand side of the placemat. Do a regular straight stitch on this side close to the edge of the pocket, and then I would just do a machine basting stitch along this edge, and that's just to hold this side in place. Have the fabric for the front side facing up. Take the fabric for the back side and place it on top, and place pins around all of the edges. You're going to leave an opening on one side that you can easily get your hand through so that later you can turn all of this front side out. So begin stitching on one side of that opening. Back stitch a few times. Then you're going to do a 1/4 inch seam all the way around the 4 sides. Stitch down to this corner. When you get a 1/4 inch away from here, stop, leave your needle down, lift up the presser foot, turn your placemat, and continue stitching. And you would do that at all your corners, and when you come around to this last pin here, then back stitch a few times. Trim some of the fabric off at all 4 corners, just like you did on the pocket. Make sure you take a little bit off at each side, and if you're wondering why we do this, it's because the corners will lay flatter if you have a little less bulk in there on these corners. So again, do this at all 4 corners. Reach inside the opening and begin turning it front side out. Take your time because you don't want to tear your fabric as you are pulling it through. After turning it front side out, you want to reach in through your opening here with something that's pointed. Don't use small scissors because that might just go right through the corners. Even if you use something like this that's very pointed, be careful you don't push too hard because it might go through your fabric. So just gently poke at all 4 corners. Then fold your opening edges in 1/4 inch and pin them. Then stitch close to the edge all the way across. Now it's time to fuse the interfacing to the fabric. Do this step at your ironing board. Have the back side of the placemat facing up. Then dampen the back of the placemat. Use a spray bottle. I always keep one of these at my ironing board at all times and dampen it pretty good. Then taking a steam iron, place it down. It's on hot. Set it down and give it a burst of steam. Hold it in place for 12 to 15 seconds. Then lift, move it again, give it a burst of steam, hold it down for 12 to 15 seconds. And you keep doing that until you've covered the entire placemat. Then let it cool down for several minutes. As I was deciding what direction I wanted to stitch this fringe on, I originally was going to have it facing in towards the center of the placemat, and I stitched it on just the opposite, and I kind of like it this way. So you could stitch it either way, facing in or facing out. I started on this side of the pocket, and I'm stitching it fairly close to the edge. And you stitch slow because this is really bumpy fringe. If you're going to use this particular fringe, it's really bumpy. So stitch a few inches, adjust, push it in. So I was holding the fringe with one hand and pushing against the fringe with the other hand so that the foot would not push it out of place. And then of course when you get to the corners, you might have problems with it curling up just a little bit, so it depends on what fringe you're using. This did on just one corner. The other corners it didn't do that, so I'm not sure quite why it decided to curl up just a little bit on this edge. But when you get to corners, leave your needle down, lift up the presser foot, turn the placemat, adjust the fringe, get it all lined up, then start stitching down the other side. When you come around to where you started, cut just enough so that it overlaps slightly, and then finish stitching, and then stitch back and forth a few times to finish it off. If you would like instructions on how to make a fabric napkin, then click on the link in the upper right-hand corner. For more placemat projects, play this video to the very end and you will see a green screen, and then click on the links. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, would you please click on the old thumbs up button, and then click on share to share this video with all your friends. And if you haven't subscribed yet, click on that red subscribe button down there in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. Don't forget to click on the little bell and enter your email address so that you receive future email notifications about my latest video. If you're not receiving those notifications, make sure you go to your phone or your tablet, like your iPad, and go to settings and make sure you set notifications in the on position. I'm Cheryl. This is Manny. See you next time, and happy sewing!